we're gonna beat you. I'm just kidding, we're probably not, but you know.
Oh, no.
Bauxite. What'd you say?
I think my what ain't playing.
I said, we're gonna beat you. Just kidding. My stepson goes to Bauxite. So we're playing y'all Friday. I'm gonna be there, yeah, I'll be on the other side if y'all wanna come talk to me. I'm like the only one with super short hair, so you'll be able to find me. Okay, well, I'm an estimator for Prospect Steel, Lexicon, Prospect, and I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about estimating, what I do, and how to get there. So, have y'all ever stood in front of a massive building or bridge and thought, how did this come about? From start to finish, yeah?
Yes.
Great, okay, that's good. Curiosity is #1 ingredient to being an estimator. So before a single piece of steel is welded, before a crane is lifting the first beam into the sky, someone like me had to figure out how much the whole project costs. My name is Megan Slager. I'm a steel fabrication estimator. I put price tags on the skeletons of buildings and bridges, the giant steel bones that make everything stand tall and strong. If you've ever crossed a bridge, walked into a skyscraper, or seen a stadium being built, you've seen what I estimate, just hidden under concrete, glass, and paint. So if you're standing on top of a 30-story skyscraper building, the steel inside of that building weighs more than 10,000 elements, which is almost in the billions of pounds of steel beams, columns, all of that, and bolts. I mean, that's a lot. There's a lot of weight. So my job is to look at drawings and blueprints and figure out how much steel do we need, how many hours will it take to cut, weld, and assemble it, how do we get the steel from the shop to the job site, how much does it cost to erect the whole thing, which is just putting it up. You've seen, you know, steel buildings being built out in the wild, all the columns being put up and stuff like that. The erector does that. There's a cost associated with that as well. And how much will the entire thing cost down to the last bolt? The projects that I estimate, and keep in mind that I am like mid-level experienced estimator. I've been doing it for like 8 years. And so I don't estimate the biggest buildings, but I estimate like the medium-sized buildings. And probably the biggest job that I've estimated cost $100,000. And that's just the steel portion of it.
No.
What did I just say?
You said $100.
Yeah, I meant millions. Thank you. He was listening last time. I'm not reading. I need to read my script. $100 billion. So yeah, there's a little bit of pressure. If I make a little mistake, that little mistake can cost a whole lot of money. And but you know, if I nail it, my company wins the job. We keep people working in the shop. We help build something that lasts for generations. When you think about estimating, you probably think about somebody sitting quietly at a desk with a calculator. And there's a little bit of math, yeah, there's some spreadsheets involved. But it's mostly puzzle, strategy, it's kind of a little bit of a detective story all rolled into one. So I start with a giant set of construction drawings, hundreds of pages. I study them like a map. And every beam and connection has to make sense. I do digital takeoffs. Which means I measure the steel pieces on screen and calculate how many of each size and shape that we'll need. Then I compare material prices, talk to suppliers, and coordinate with engineers and project managers. I piece together a full story of what it'll take to turn that drawing into a real physical structure. I don't just crunch numbers, I also make judgment calls. So a lot of the design drawings that I get, they're not fully complete. So I get like 30% complete designs. So you'll have like a column and a beam, but then there's no detail about how they go together in the middle. And so I have to basically just make that up. And it's got to be relatively accurate so that, you know, I don't totally underestimate something or overestimate something. I still have to be competitive, and I still have to make sure that my company makes money, and you know, we don't wind up in the hole. So every estimate is like a prediction of the future. And when I get it right, it means our crews get to work on something incredible, from highway bridges to sports arenas, like the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, to high-rise buildings that redefine the city skyline. So when one of those projects is complete, I'm able to go by that project and be like, I had a part in putting that together, which is really cool. That's a really cool part of my job. I didn't swing the hammer, but everything that I do goes into every inch of steel in that structure, which is really cool. Also, what's cool is that this career did not require me to sit in college for a decade, and it doesn't require a linear path. All it required was curiosity, attention to detail, creativity, and grit. I had to learn to think like an engineer, a business person, and a problem solver all at once. Estimating is the front line of construction. We're the first step, so we decide what's possible. Every builder, welder, and project manager relies on the work that we do before they ever break ground. So if you're the kind of person who loves math, logic puzzles, Minecraft builds, or strategy games, if you enjoy figuring things out and seeing your ideas become real, you might just have the brain of an estimator. Construction isn't just hard hats and dirt, it's innovation, it's teamwork, it's legacy, and as an estimator, you're the one who starts all of that. So next time you drive over a bridge or see a skyscraper, remember somebody like me once stared at a pile of drawings and said, let's make that happen. And you could be the next person to do that. A little bit about the path to get to be a career estimator. You can take the path of least resistance, which would be the college route, 4-year degree. UALR has a great program, construction management. Highest math that you have to take for that is trigonometry. It's a relatively easy degree. You just have to show up, do your homework, you get your diploma, get an internship while you're in school, come out, and then you can come work with me, which I'm pretty fun to work with. So, but yeah, so you can do it that way. But if you hate college, if you really don't want to go that route, I get it. I didn't want to do that either. So you can actually get hired at a lot of places with degree equivalent experience, which is basically like 4 to 6 years of working in the field or in a shop somewhere, like our shop. With Prospect Steel, you can go be a welder, you can be an iron worker, an erector somewhere, and just learn about the trades and learn about how everything goes together, so that you can take that experience, which is equivalent to a 4-year degree, and you can come and bring that to the table instead of that traditional college route type of education that you're going to bring to the table. So the only thing that I would say, if you were to go that route, make sure you stay up on Microsoft Excel, #1 priority. Microsoft Excel is like, I would say it's probably used. Do you guys use Microsoft Excel? It's probably one of the most common things that you're going to use anywhere that you work, in any position that you work. I would really recommend staying up on that at the very least. Everything else really can be trained on the job. So estimating it's deadline driven. So if you're not good at meeting deadlines, do not be an estimator. You have to meet deadlines. That's literally your job. An estimate goes into what we call a bid, and we submit those bids to a general contractor, and the general contractor decides who gets awarded that portion of the work based on where our bid falls, how competitive we are, how complete our scope is, and a bunch of other factors. And so you have to turn those in on time. If you don't turn them in on time, you're basically disqualified. So aside from that deadline, estimating is really flexible. So I could leave early on Mondays. I leave work at 4 p.m. and I go to my boxing class at War Boxing off of Shackelford. So that's cool. You don't always get that opportunity to be able to, have a work-life balance, or be in sports, or leave to go to your little brother or your son's away game. When you got to leave at 2:30 in the afternoon to make it all the way somewhere by 5:30, 6 o'clock. So you do have that flexibility in estimating, and a lot of places have hybrid options where you can work in the office sometimes, you can work at home sometimes, and then there's a lot of completely remote options as well. So it's a really flexible opportunity, and you don't have to know exactly what you want to do straight out of high school and commit to it immediately. I bartended for over a decade and didn't decide what I wanted to do when I grew up until I was well beyond grown up. I was like 28 when I decided to start pursuing this, and so I recommend it. It's cool. you know, you make a decent amount of money. Average national salary, entry level starts around 65K, and then with the experience you move up and you start getting towards like the 140K plus. But that would be, you know, 15-20 year career level. So yeah, any questions about estimating or the path? No?
Yes, I do have one.
Yeah, what's up?
My name is Dr. Tabor Sesky. I teach English language arts at Capital One here at Mills University Studies High School. The first question that I have is, how long, I know you said that it took about 4 to 6 years, right? Did you start from the ground in that company, or like, how did that go?
So I actually, I went kind of a weird route myself. This is where I say it's not linear. I came back to Arkansas, I kind of hopped around, traveling the state, bartending, and then I decided I wanted to come back and I wanted something really stable. The construction industry is incredibly stable, guys. Like, I mean, we don't really lay people off, even through, you know, COVID and all that stuff. You keep your job, it's a very stable source of income. And that's what attracted me to the construction industry. So came back to Arkansas, decided that I was gonna get a degree, and I started in a totally different field. I started in engineering, civil engineering. Quickly found that you really you can't work like 3 jobs and get an engineering degree. It's just not realistic. And so I was interning at another steel fabricator during that time with the intention of eventually becoming their civil engineer. And I kind of met some estimators and started working with some estimators. And then I dropped out of school. I've had like a very weird path. I didn't like college. I dropped out a lot, and then I went back, and I would drop out, and then I would go back. I eventually finished, but I had a lot of experience interning and working as kind of like an estimate aide, assistant estimator, that kind of thing for a number of years before I even got my degree. So I actually graduated with my college degree in 2022, so not very long ago, and I'm 37, so, you know, late bloomer there. But yeah, so I didn't go the shop route or in the field, but I did kind of have a non-traditional path in that sense.
So, before you were an assistant estimator, and once you got the degree, you became an actual estimator.
Yeah.
And so, what is your degree in?
I got it in construction management. I wound up switching. So the civil engineering thing, because of all of the, you know, high level math and all that kind of stuff that takes a lot of studying and everything, wasn't going to pan out for me because I had to work jobs to, you know, pay my bills and stuff. I didn't really have anybody to live with. So I did that. I went back to school and I got the degree in construction management because it is, like I said, a much easier degree, and it's an extremely lucrative degree. There's a lot of opportunities that you can get with a construction management degree. It's right here in Little Rock, UALR. There's also a fully online 4-year construction management program. The A-State, Jonesboro.
We won it this week, Thursday, guys.
Oh yeah, great. Okay, definitely talk to them about that online construction management degree. That's a great one. So if you're, you know, working, it's hard to work full time and try to go to school. You're going, you know, working all day, going in the evenings, or you're working early in the morning and then leaving and going to a class and then coming back to work, and you're just trying to like squeeze your hours in. But if you do a fully online degree, then, you know, you're able to have the flexibility to do your classes on your own time, and you can still get that degree, which is a really great opportunity.
2 more questions, Dean. My first question, out of the gate, when you, as an assistant estimator, how much was that annual capital?
When you say capital, you talking about what I made?
Annual
Okay.
cost.
Okay. Mine was bad. I made nothing. It was so bad. They pay way more now. I did not work for the company that I worked for as well. But at the time, I was making like, God, I started out at like $11 an hour. And then by the time they hired me on full time, I was making like $14.75 an hour, which is, that's less than what interns make now. I would say that competitive intern pay would be closer to $18 an hour, or, you know, assistant type pay would be closer to $20 an hour, depending on experience level. And you would, obviously, you would get, you know, anywhere you go, always get your annual reviews and ask for your raise, even if you feel like, you know, there's no way they're gonna give it to you, because I might as well ask. Worst they can say is no.
Or is no.
Yeah, exactly. Shoot your shot.
And the last question I had, now, with the degree and experience,
Yeah.
what does that income look like now?
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I can say that on the scale that they gave me to share, where you know, entry level would be like starting out as an estimator, entry level starts around 65K to, you know, the 140 plus K for like a, you know, 15, 20 year career estimator or whatever. I am very much in the middle of that. So, yeah, so I do really well for myself. I never thought I would have a position where, you know, I would be able to live comfortably and make this kind of money, you know, coming from like a single mom's household and, you know, pretty poverty level, you know, nobody in my family had gone to college before. I didn't see that in my future, so this was a really cool path for me, and it's definitely something to be proud of, and
Absolutely.
have way more than I ever thought that I would ever have in my lifetime. Incredible opportunities.
I appreciate you, thank you.
That's the perfect time for me to say this. There's a group called the National Association of Women in Construction. And there are a lot of women in construction. It's a great industry for women. There's a local chapter here. Last year, this woman, Megan, was Woman of the Year for this chapter.
This is true.
It's a great honor. It just shows what a badass and what a rock star she is. So we're very proud of her, very glad to have her.
So have you ever seen a tomato?
Sorry.
Anyway, yeah, NAWIC is really cool. Ladies in the room, if you are ever into the you know, construction world and you want some support from your fellow women in the construction, the NAWIC group, National Association of Women in Construction, is a really great association to be a part of. And I would also encourage ladies and gents, any involvement in any kind of association, like the Associated General Contractors, Associated Builders and Contractors. We have local chapters in Little Rock for both of those, as well as NAWIC, and they just offer so many opportunities to just hang out with like owners of companies and CEOs on like a human level. You can, you know, obviously not now, but like when you're, you know, of age, you can go, you know, clink glasses with people that you would never have the opportunity to have a candid conversation with otherwise. So they call it networking, but it's just like a fancy word for partying and like getting to know people on like a cool base level as just a person in the industry. Is really, really cool. Any other questions for me? Yeah, what's up?
Introduce yourself. That's what I'm finna do. So my name is Kevin King, right? And I'm a student at Ford High School. My question is, what's the thought process when you're estimating?
When I'm estimating, okay, so it is very much like a puzzle. You get a bunch of different little pieces of how something, you know, of parts that go together, and you have to think through how it would be fabricated. So for example, the column that's behind you, that green column, that is a wide flange beam. And so what you're looking at facing
Girl,
me,
you better know.
what you're looking at facing me is a flange, and the back part is a flange, and the middle there is a web. And probably not here because there's nothing connected to it, but between floors, you're gonna have like stiffener plates between those flanges on either side of the web that have holes and things in them that beams attached to. At the floor level that we're on right now, that beam is probably holding up all of our weight with, you know, beams, or that column with beams attached to it, with little, you know, connection plates and things like that. So my thought process is basically, for like a column, for example, I would look at the column And then I would look at all the different pages, you know, the floor level, the roof level. I would look at all of the pieces that get connected into that column, and then I would go through the details that are available in the drawings, which aren't always available, but sometimes they are. And I would see what type of connection connects those two pieces. And I would build up that column as an assembly in my estimate. And then I would, to make a long story short, I would get all of the material for that column, get the cost for that material, and then figure out how many hours it's gonna take our guys in the shop to cut those pieces out, to weld them up, to drill holes in it, to bend, plate, things like that. And then I would apply a dollar amount to those man hours, and that would be the cost of labor in our shop. You add those two things together, plus a number of other things that I won't go into just for the sake of keeping it short. And eventually you come out with just like a total cost of how much it's gonna cost for that column to be fabricated. And then we put tax on it, profit margin, we gotta make money, right? So, and then I just basically tell the contractor how much that's gonna cost. So that is a very that's a very abbreviated version of what my thought process would be. It's just looking for Easter eggs, basically. You're digging through the design drawings for, okay, how does this go with this, and what goes into it, and what's attached to it, and how is it attached, and all that stuff. It's fun. But you definitely have to get some sleep, though, to be able to use your brain to do it. Anything else for me?
Guys, let's clap our hands and appreciate them.